Hello everyone, this is an IELTS writing video for both writing part 1 and part 2, academic or general, it doesn't matter. And the question we're going to answer in this video is, why can't I get a 7 or an 8 because of my mistakes? What mistakes am I making that stop me from getting a 7 or an 8? Now, in the IELTS criteria for the writing, there are 4 criteria. There's how you answer the question, the organisation, your vocabulary and grammar. You can make mistakes in all of these 4 criteria, but in this video I'm going to talk about the mistakes that candidates make in vocabulary, or what they call lexical resource, and grammar, or what they call grammatical range and accuracy, the different types of mistakes that students make that stop them from getting a 7 or an 8. And I'll also talk about some things that you can do to stop making these mistakes, so that way you can get a 7 or an 8. The first thing I want to say is that to get a 7 or 8 in the vocabulary, in the grammar, you need to do 2 things. You need to have a good range, how much language you use, and you need to not make mistakes or certain types of mistakes. In this video, I'm not going to be talking about how much you use, which is also important. I'm going to be just talking about the mistakes. So let's begin first of all by talking about the different types of mistakes. And the first type of mistake, and the worst type of mistake probably, that you can make that stops you from getting a 7 or an 8 is a mistake that interferes with understanding. So what does that mean? It means that the reader reads your sentence, and because of the mistake, they don't know what you want to say. Let me give you a simple example. I did it tomorrow. So there's my sentence. I did it tomorrow. So you as the listener, or you as the reader, you look at this or you hear this and you think, I did, that's the past, but tomorrow, that's the future. Is he talking about the past or the future? So you don't know what I'm trying to say. That's the worst type of mistake. There's a boat. That's the worst type of mistake you can make in the IELTS. Why? Because the IELTS criteria has for a 5, not a 6, not a 7, not an 8, it has for a 5 that mistakes interfere with understanding. For a 6, it says that the candidate makes mistakes, but they don't interfere with understanding. So what that tells us is that you can make mistakes and still get a 6, no problem in the world, but if one of these mistakes stops the reader from understanding clearly what you want to say, well, then you're probably going to get a 5. Is this for grammar? Is this for vocabulary? It's for both. Let's take a look at that sentence I said, I did it tomorrow. So let's say that I want to actually tell you about something that happened in the past. I did it tomorrow. Did is the past, it's correct. Tomorrow is wrong. I wanted to say, I should have said, I did it yesterday. So I used tomorrow instead of yesterday. That's a vocabulary or lexical resource mistake, which means that I would get a maximum 5 for lexical resource. Of course, if it's clear from the information around the sentence that I'm talking about this tense or that tense, then no, I wouldn't automatically get a 5. But if it's not clear, even with the surrounding context of what I want to say, then I would get a 5. If, however, I did it tomorrow, if I'm actually talking about the future, then my mistake is not the tomorrow, my mistake is the did, and it's a grammar mistake. So that would be really bringing down my grammar mark. So you might say to yourself, well, I generally don't make this type of mistake. That seems to be very easy. I did it tomorrow. Of course I did it yesterday, or I will do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow, of course. That's true. And I'd say for the higher level students, the people who can get a 7 or can get an 8, where do they tend to make this type of mistake, where it's not clear for me, the reader, the examiner, I'm sitting there, I'm an examiner, I don't understand what they want to say. It's usually because the student or the candidate is trying too hard to use very big sentences or very big expressions. Because if you write a very long sentence and there's a little grammar mistake in there, but the idea is very difficult, that little grammar mistake can make things a lot more complicated. So how can you avoid this type of situation, making a little grammar mistake in a big sentence that makes things difficult to understand? Well, on the day of the exam, if you see that you're about to write a very long sentence, then stop and break it into 2 sentences. This isn't going to be so good for how much grammar you use, but if you write that really big sentence and you're not sure about the grammar structure you're using, and then the examiner doesn't understand what you want to say, that's really going to bring down your mark. This happens when I was an examiner. I saw it. As a teacher helping students prepare, I see it. Probably more common is a lexical resource mistake, the vocabulary mistake. The candidate tries to combine these really wonderful expressions that makes them sound really good, but you don't know what they're talking about. For example, the dilapidating circumstances forced cumberness upon those that were acquitted. There are lots of nice words there. This probably would never exist in a real context. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that can interfere with understanding, that can cause the examiner to think, I don't really know what this person wants to say. And that's the biggest type of mistake. So interestingly, with that example from the lexical resource, everything's actually correct, but the combination of the words is really strange. Let's take an example where the combination is wrong, but I still understand what you want to say. For example, I love to make photos. And what you actually want to say is, I love to take photos. Here there's definitely a mistake, a collocation mistake. In English we don't say make a photo in this context, we say take a photo. However, this isn't the worst type of mistake, because even though it's wrong, I still understand what you want to say. So very important for you to realize that the IELTS exam, like the TOEFL exam and almost all English, multinational English exams, is a communication exam. We're not that interested in the mistakes, we're interested in the communication. And something is a big mistake if it stops this communication from happening. Okay, so that's the first type of mistake, the worst type of mistake you can make. How can you avoid these mistakes? Well, don't experiment on the day of the exam. If you do want to experiment when you're preparing with a teacher, and the teacher can tell you, no, that's too complicated, that sentence, keep it simple. Or, no, we don't use those words together, it sounds strange, I don't know what you want to say. So that's the first type of mistake.